Hey, they're amazing people. Ever felt that nagging doubt? That little voice inside whispering? Are things really as good as they seem? Maybe you worried if the people you trust truly see you, the real you, or perhaps you've even felt a pang of fear, wondering what might happen if things you rely on suddenly changed? Well, today's story dives deep into those feelings, those very human questions we all have. It's a story about hidden truths, unexpected shocks, and the raw emotions that bubble to the surface when we least expect them. It's a story, honestly, just for you, because you're the kind of person who looks beyond the surface, who feels things deeply. So, before we jump in, take a second. Hit that like button. It tells us we're connected with hearts like yours all over the world. And definitely drop a comment after the story. Tell us what you think, what you felt. Your thoughts matter, and they help us see just how far the story reaches. Ready to uncover some secrets? Let's dive in. The weight of expectation pressed down on Mr. Alastair Finch like a heavy cloak. He'd built his delivery company, Swift Wheels, from the ground up, pouring his heart and soul, every last penny, into making a success. He believed in treating his employees fairly, offering good pay and benefits. But lately, a disquieting feeling had begun to gnaw at him. Whispers reached his ears. Not directly, but through the grapevine, little things that made his stomach clench. Were his employees as happy as they seemed? Did they respect the hard work he'd put in? Or was there a different story being told when his back was turned? The thought kept him awake at night, a cold knot of anxiety tightening in his chest. Driven by this gnawing suspicion, Mr. Finch hatched a plan. A risky one, perhaps, but one he felt he needed to carry out. He decided to go undercover. He would temporarily trade his plush office for the worn uniform of a delivery driver. He'd change his appearance, grow a rough beard, wear simple glasses, and call himself Dusty. He wanted to see, with his own eyes, how things truly operated when the boss wasn't around. He wanted to experience the daily grind, the interactions, the atmosphere unfiltered. The first few days as Dusty were eye-opening. The physical labor was tougher than he remembered from the early days of Swift Wheels. His muscles ached, and exhaustion became his constant companion. But it wasn't the physical strain that truly shocked him. It was the attitude of some of his colleagues. There was a driver named Bo, a young man with a perpetually sour expression. Mr. Finch, as Dusty, often heard Bo complaining loudly about the company, about the management, about him. The old man doesn't have a clue. Bo would grumble to other drivers during breaks, unaware that the old man was sitting right there listening, his heart sinking with each bitter word. Bo would take long, unauthorized breaks, often leaving his deliveries behind schedule, showing little regard for the customers or the company's reputation. Then there was Corinne, a dispatcher. On the surface, she was always polite and efficient in her interactions with Mr. Finch in his CEO persona. But as Dusty, he witnessed a different side of her. He saw her being dismissive and rude to drivers over the radio, her voice sharp and impatient. He even overheard her making fun of a driver who had called in sick, questioning the legitimacy of their illness with a cruel laugh. Mr. Finch felt a pang of disappointment. He had always valued kindness and empathy, and Corinne's behavior was a stark contrast to the values he tried to instill in his company. One particularly difficult day, Dusty was assigned a route in a wealthy neighborhood with notoriously long driveways and demanding customers. He was running behind schedule, his back was throbbing, and the weight of his disguise felt heavier than ever. He approached one large house, package in hand, only to be met by a woman with a disdainful look on her face. "Took you long enough," she snapped, not even making eye contact as she snatched the package from his hands and slammed the door in his face. The rudeness stung. It wasn't just a physical hardship. It was a lack of basic human decency that truly disheartened him. He thought about his own customers, the people Swift Wheels served. Was this the kind of experience they were having? Were his employees, the people he trusted to represent his company, treating them with such disrespect? The thought was unbearable. Later that day, Dusty witnessed an incident that truly shook him. He saw Bo deliberately mishandle a fragile package, tossing it carelessly into the back of his truck. When another driver, a quiet and hard-working young woman named Willow, gently reminded him to be more careful, Bo scoffed. Relax, it's just stuff. The company's insured anyway. Mr. Finch's blood ran cold. This wasn't just about poor customer service. It was about a fundamental lack of care and responsibility. He had always preached the importance of treating every package as if it were precious, as if it contained something irreplaceable for the person on the other end. Bo's callous disregard was a direct betrayal of everything Mr. Finch stood for. As the days turned into weeks, Mr. Finch, as Dusty, continued to observe and experience. He saw acts of kindness too. Willow always offered a helping hand to her colleagues, and there was an older driver named Silas who always had a cheerful word for everyone. But the negative interactions, the laziness, the disrespect, they weighed heavily on his heart. He felt a deep sense of betrayal, a pain that went beyond mere disappointment. It felt like a personal failure. Had he created a company culture where such behavior was allowed to fester? Had he been so focused on the big picture that he had missed the cracks forming in the foundation? One afternoon, Dusty was paired with Bo for a delivery run. Bo, still oblivious to Dusty's true identity, spent the entire day complaining and cutting corners. At one point, Bo decided to skip a delivery to grab a burger, leaving Dusty waiting in the truck. When they finally returned to the depot late, Bo lied to the dispatcher about the reason for the delay, blaming it on traffic. Mr. Finch, listening silently, felt a surge of anger. This wasn't just about being lazy. It was about dishonesty. It was about a lack of integrity. He realized that the problems at Swift Wheels ran deeper than he had imagined. It wasn't just a few bad apples. There seemed to be a systemic issue with accountability and respect. The time had come. Mr. Finch knew he couldn't continue the charade any longer. He had seen enough. He had felt enough. The emotional toll of witnessing this firsthand, of feeling the sting of disrespect meant for his company while being powerless to reveal his true identity, was immense. He needed to take action, and he needed to do it now. The next morning, Mr. Finch walked into the Swift Wheels depot, not as a scruffy Dusty, but as a sharp, decisive COO, Mr. Alastair Finch. A hush fell over the room. Faces paled. Whispers rippled through the assembled employees. He addressed them, his voice calm but firm. He spoke about the importance of their work, the trust placed in them by their customers, and the values that Swift Wheels was built upon: honesty, respect, and dedication. Then, he revealed his undercover journey. He spoke about his experiences as Dusty, the challenges he faced, and the behaviors he witnessed. He didn't name names initially, but the weight of his gaze, the disappointment in his voice, was enough. A palpable tension filled the air. He then recounted some of the incidents he had observed: the rude customer service, the mishandled packages, the skipped deliveries, the lies. Bo shifted uncomfortably, his face flushed. Corinne avoided eye contact, her usual confident demeanor replaced by a nervous fidgeting. Mr. Finch then spoke directly to them. He expressed his sadness at what he had seen, the betrayal he felt not just as a CEO, but as a person who had genuinely cared about his employees' well-being. He spoke about how important it was to treat everyone with respect, from customers to colleagues. He emphasized that a company's reputation was built on the actions of every single employee. He then announced that there would be consequences. Bo was immediately suspended, pending a full investigation. Corinne was placed on probation and required to undergo customer service training. Mr. Finch also announced a company-wide retraining program focused on customer care, proper handling of goods, and ethical conduct. But Mr. Finch didn't stop there. He also acknowledged the positive examples he had witnessed. He praised Willow for her kindness and Silas for his positive attitude, recognizing their dedication and commitment. He announced a new employee recognition program to celebrate those who consistently embodied the company's values. The atmosphere in the depot shifted. The initial shock and fear began to give way to a sense of understanding, and perhaps even a glimmer of hope. Mr. Finch's decision to go undercover had been a painful but necessary step. It had exposed the flaws within his company, but it also created an opportunity for real change. In the weeks and months that followed, Swift Wheels underwent a transformation. The retraining programs had a positive impact. A new culture of accountability and respect began to take root. Employees started taking more pride in their work, and customer feedback improved significantly. Mr. Finch, Forever changed by his experience as Dusty, became a more present and engaged leader. He made it a point to regularly interact with his employees, to listen to their concerns, and to recognize their contributions. He learned that true leadership wasn't just about making decisions from an office. It was about understanding the reality on the ground, about connecting with people on a human level. The journey had been difficult, filled with disappointment and moments of genuine sadness. But in the end, the truth, however harsh, had set Swift wheels on a path toward becoming a better, more ethical, and more successful company. And Mr. Finch had learned a valuable lesson. Sometimes, to truly see your business, you need to step out of your own shoes and walk in someone else's. What do you think about Mr. Finch's decision? Have you ever experienced something similar in your own life? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, don't forget to hit that like button. It means the world. The moral of the story is clear. True understanding and positive change often come from stepping outside our comfort zones and seeing the world through another person's eyes. Honesty and respect are not just good business practices. They are the foundation of any successful and meaningful endeavor.